trench warfare became one of the most defining features of World War I. It epitomized the brutal, stagnant, and grueling nature of the conflict, where vast armies faced each other across networks of fortified trenches stretching from the North Sea to the Swiss frontier. This form of warfare dominated the Western Front and shaped much of the war's strategy, tactics, and outcomes. Origins and development. Trench warfare emerged due to the combination of powerful, modern weaponry and traditional military tactics. As the war began in 1914, both the Allies and Central Powers quickly found that frontal assaults resulted in massive casualties. Defensive technology, including machine guns, barbed wire, and artillery, had advanced significantly, making open-ground attacks nearly suicidal. To protect their soldiers, both sides began to dig trenches, leading to a static and protracted form of warfare. Structure of the trenches. The trench systems were complex and elaborate. They typically consisted of multiple lines. 1. Front line trench, the primary defensive position, closest to the enemy. 2. Support trench, located a short distance behind the front line, providing a second line of defense and a place for troops to retreat if necessary. 3. Reserve trench, further back, where reserves were stationed, ready to support the front lines. 4. Communication trenches, connecting the front, support, and reserve trenches, allowing movement of men, equipment, and supplies. The trenches themselves were fortified with sandbags, wooden planks, and barbed wire. They included dugouts for shelter, firing steps for combat, and parapets for protection. Daily life in the trenches. Life in the trenches was harsh and grueling. Soldiers faced constant threats from enemy fire, artillery bombardments, and raids. Living conditions were deplorable. Trenches were often muddy and waterlogged, leading to illnesses like trench foot. Rats and lice were rampant, adding to the misery. Food was basic and monotonous, often consisting of canned meat, bread, and biscuits. The psychological strain was immense, with soldiers enduring the stress of constant danger, the sight of death, and the noise of battle. Combat and strategy. Trench warfare led to a stalemate, with neither side able to achieve a decisive breakthrough. Major battles, such as the Battle of the Somme and the Battle of Verdun, resulted in enormous casualties with minimal territorial gains. Tactics evolved to break the deadlock. These included: 1. Artillery barrages, heavy bombardments intended to destroy enemy trenches and barbed wire before an infantry assault. 2. Poison gas, introduced by the Germans in 1915, chemical weapons like chlorine and mustard gas aimed to incapacitate enemy troops. 3. Tunneling and mining, digging tunnels beneath enemy lines to plant explosives. 4. Tanks, introduced by the British in 1916, tanks were designed to cross no man's land and break through enemy defenses. Impact and legacy. Trench warfare defined much of World War I's Western Front and symbolized the futility and horror of the conflict. The enormous human cost, with millions of soldiers killed, wounded, or missing, left deep scars on nations and societies. The experience of trench warfare influenced military tactics and technologies in subsequent conflicts. The lessons learned led to changes in warfare strategy, emphasizing mobility and combined arms tactics, which were seen in World War II. Trench warfare in World War I remains a poignant symbol of the war's brutality and the immense suffering of those who fought in it. The static, grueling nature of this type of combat highlighted the devastating impact of modern industrial warfare and reshaped military thinking for future generations.